it safe so they can be played on another day. Rob's Arcade.
All right, hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Rob's Arcade. I am your host, Rob French, and we're going to take another stab at this. Yeah, I like this a little bit better. This looks better. That light over there, I looked like I was in an interrogation room. Just not really feeling how all that looked. This looks better. It's taken me a few minutes to get this going. Also, when I hopped on, I realized like my hair doesn't quite look like it did before. So like, I think this is like kind of like the closest we can get that kind of like slick back look. Even though it almost kind of looks like a perm. But anyway, um, welcome back to Rob's Arcade. We're finally rocking and rolling here. So glad to be able to connect with you guys on this beautiful Sunday, June 22nd. If I haven't been doing any like major posting or anything lately, just been super busy with work and what have you. But we are finally kind of wrapped up with some of the teen stuff, which is a little bittersweet. But I just got back from my last little hoorah with them up in the mountains. We go to North Carolina, up on their like little mountain trip. And it's really great. There's like a leader school up there, and they get a chance to, hang out with each other, connect, bond, and also hopefully and ultimately take home some like pieces that we try to instill. I say we, but like that the staff and um, our fellow staff like try to put together for them. And I learned a lot myself while I'm up there and bond. And I just hope like ultimately that all the teens get that same experience. But it's just a lot of fun. But it also is kind of like the signal and the symbol and um, the little piece of my duties that are um, kind of over now at this point. It's kind of like that last little bit, but um, it's good to know that there is still, I think, a part or a place for me in some of all of the teen stuff. It looks like the advisor that's going to be taking over myself and my co-advisor all have a very strong, excuse me, like common denominator. Like, I think ultimately we will be operating in maybe different aspects and trying to get this done. But I think that's going to make it even stronger, if you will. Some people would be like, "Oh, this sucks. You're not doing this. You're not doing that." But I think in my new role and what I'm going to be doing, ultimately, I'll be able to help out in different and new ways. And it's going to be almost like the Power Rangers. Like instead of just having one person there to kind of help out. I think ultimately we're going to have more. Like I think there's going to be more people and more support. So hopefully, hopefully it'll go down that way. But we'll just have to wait and see. But this trip that we just got back from, it's kind of like I said the period point to all of it. It kind of wraps up all of my team programming that I'm responsible for. Um, so like I said, it's been a little bit of an emotional week for me. But I just got back Friday evening, and it just was like my first chance that I've really had to sit down and just kind of catch up with you guys. So here I am. It's not that I haven't been wanting to, but I haven't even been around. I haven't even been here. I've been away for a week, like I said, up in the mountains, and that was a lot of fun, but also just a lot of prep beforehand. So. That's also why I just hadn't been super present here. But, like I said, hopefully I'll have a little bit more time now and we'll be able to, do more of these videos and kind of catch you guys up. Just hang out with you and just play video games and whatever in general, going forward. But I guess if I have to really, talk about, and not that I have to, I guess if I, but I have to talk about the week that I just had. It was really great. I love what I do. I've talked about this many times. And I hope I don't sneeze again. I just had the hugest sneezing fit. I like right before this, I think I sneezed like 50 times. And I mean, I couldn't help it. I was all through the house just sneezing everywhere, up and down the hallway, like just going. It was everywhere. It was awful. But anyway, I think I just sneezed out of my butt. So, uh, ultimately, this trip that we go on, it's just a lot of fun. What was I talking about before I interrupted myself? Right, I was talking about the trip, the week. Here I am. Right now that I'm back. Yeah. Um, Sorry, I got a little all over the place this morning. But yeah, so anyway, this trip that we go on, it's oh, my job. Yeah, like I've talked about this many times. Yeah, but I love what I do. I ultimately like I just really um, get a kick out of what I'm able to do from day to day, and you know, I think some people might get a little frustrated in some of the ways that like our organization operates from time to time because it is a little wonky here and there, and there is like a little disorganization. But I think ultimately the things that I'm able to do and the places I'm able to go and the people I'm able to meet kind of make up for some of that. But just the overall response that I get from parents and the teens and the knowing of like what I'm able to do and like how I'm able to help these kids out is so re- just like it's so rewarding. Like it's the best thing I've ever had a opportunity to be part of. And it gets stressful. It gets crazy. Sometimes like you just don't even know really like ultimately what you're doing, but you have an interaction with a family and you help their kid get through something, or sometimes it's not even one of your teens, but maybe it's just somebody else's teen that you're able to help out on the mountain, and it's absolutely amazing. Or maybe it's not even there. Maybe it's just like somewhere else within like our organizations and within our different clubs, and being able to like extend a hand and be there for these teens ultimately is like why is that common denominator of like why we are all there to do what we do, and it really is just like a great feeling. I myself this week had a wonderful time because this was my second time there, and the first time you're not really sure what to expect. Like they're always telling you like you just got to go, you got to go, and they're right. Like once you go, you kind of see exactly what it is that they're talking about, but it really and might even have to do like a whole video just like on that whole piece, but it really is a life-changing experience. And the second time around, it's just a lot more fun because not only are you closer with the kids that you take and some of the other kids and other clubs within the organization that you're representing, but you're also able to connect again with teens and people that you met last year and build upon those relationships even deeper and even more. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a beautiful experience, and it's just really it's really beautiful to be part of something like that. And then not only with the teens, like I talk a lot about the teen work that we do, but there's like there's adults up on the mountain too. There's other people up on the mountain, and we get a chance to like reconnect and see each other again as well. But this year, I was really happy because not only did I get to see again all of those folks, but just within my own organization here where I live, there are other advisors that are represented up on the mountain. And like we do things as an organization together. We do things like what we call rallies and lock-ins and overnights and different things. And sometimes just work events and barbecues and cookouts and meetings and just all kinds of different things and conventions. And we see each other and it's great, but there's nothing like the bonding experiences up on the mountain because you're at work, you're representing work, you're doing work things, but at the same time, there's a bit of like I was just like kind of walking around with a couple of coworkers, just like checking out like some creeks and some rocks and just like really getting to know each other and talking and goofing around and staying up late. This is like an aspect of being a teenager, just like some of the kids were representing when we're up on the mountain. Once the kids go to bed, it's kind of like we become the teenagers, and it really does feel like that. Even as adults, we were joking around, like you just can't help but feel like you're 15 again because everybody's asleep. You're able to kind of walk around, but it doesn't feel like you're able to because this isn't like, it's not like your work. There's like a different piece of it where like, before we leave, we have this huge lock in at one of our local branches, and we will have all the kids like, well, most of the time they don't even sleep, but we'll have them all like kind of like sleep in different rooms and different areas and stuff. And we're up at night kind of watching and keeping an eye on them and talking and goofing off and stuff ourselves until they ultimately fall asleep. But it's funny because we will, be up and walking around, and it never feels like we're sneaking around. It feels like we're the parents walking around checking on all the kids. But whenever we're there, it just kind of feels like more like we're sneaking around like the hotel after hours, and there's just a very playful atmosphere. In fact, just before we left, we were heading down to one of their main buildings to grab some pizza, of course, of all things, and it was like 12 o'clock at night or something like that, 1 o'clock in the morning. It was late, and we're sneaking around grabbing some pizza. One of us is like FaceTiming his girlfriend, and it's like four guys like sneaking around. And I say sneaking around. We're just walking around, but we're like sneaking around, giggling and goofing like a bunch of like high school girls or whatever. And we hear this like, "Mah, mah, mah." And we're like, what the heck is that? And we're like, is that a person? Ma, and I'm like, I think that's a bear. I was like, it's a baby bear. There's like bears everywhere. We're up in the mountains. And we're like, oh shit, mama's not too far behind. And so then we're like, no, that's not a bear. Like we're trying to talk ourselves out of it. Like I had seen like some wild turkeys or something, and I'm like, maybe it's a wild turkey. And then like, we're like, maybe it's this. And it was so hilarious because the guy who was like FaceTiming his girlfriend, she's like, we could hear her, like, she's kind of like on speaker basically. And we're like, I think it's a wild turkey or something like that. She's like, I don't think that's a wild turkey, guys. And she's like basically this, you know, like just we're trying like we're trying to calm ourselves down, and she's like making it worse because she's completely just like whatever. Like I think no, it's not that. It's like it could be any like no, it's not. It's like she's like basically like it's a bear, and it's like so we were kind of freaking out even more. Uh, to the point when it was time to head back, one of the guys had like a small short minibus, and we were like, let's just take the minibus back up. Like this is too. Oh yeah, because we were walking out, and a security guard was like, "Hey guys, be careful! We just saw a mama bear and a baby bear. We chased it back up past this one building or whatever, right?" We're like, "Oh okay," but that's like the building we had to go past to get to our dorm, or and we were just like, "Oh no!" So we like took a short little minibus um, from the main building up to our dorm because we were kind of scared. Like we didn't be walking around with like a bear like and her cubs walking. So like, but then we were geeking out the whole time in the bus. Like it just felt like such a trip being on the mountain with these guys this year. It was just a lot of fun. But on top of that, I also got to meet some really cool people too, like the guy who had the bus and a couple of other just advisors that I never had a chance to meet before. In fact, one individual who I'm really excited, um, like he and I really like connected. So I'm not going to go too deep into this, but like there's about I don't know anywhere from like 150 or like 200 kids or so, something like that, up on this mountain. Ultimately, there's usually more, but they were hit really hard by a hurricane, Hurricane Helene, a while back, and really, really, really took out a lot of what they had up on the mountain. I mean, they had like a few buildings they couldn't use. A few buildings were ultimately destroyed. They had a couple buildings that were ultimately destroyed down there or up there. Well, I guess it's like down there, but it's so hard. It's down there, but up on the mountain. How do you explain that? So anyway, I'll say down there and up there quite differently from time to time, but that's kind of how I'm referring to it. I'll sometimes say up there because we're up on the mountain, but we have to go down south to get there. So anyway, But ultimately, there was just a lot of damage up there, and they had to rebuild a lot and kind of like refigure what they were going to be doing. But ultimately, there's a lot more people up on the mountain. So this year we had to have like some limitations on the numbers, but there's still a lot of teens up there coming into this. Some of them are like first years on the mountain, some of them are 6 years, some of them have just like, a little bit of experience, and then ultimately zero to none. And it's a lot of fun. It's a game changer. It's a life changer for all of them. But the big piece of that is us as advisors in many, 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 many different ways while we're there. And this is something that like I kind of had to like wrap my head around myself on the way home this year, on the way back, just because it is a lot that goes into it. But all of us who go up there as advisors and support and what we call SLs or staff or however you look at it, um, we all are there to help shape the lives of all of these children, which is insane to think about. Like, I'm up there, and what I do is helping to improve the lives of, like, dozens and dozens and dozens of individuals. And it shows. Like, I walk through there, and they're all, Robert, Robert, Robbie. They're excited to see me, and they're excited to see the other people that I work with. My co-advisor, they love him to death. Like every time he steps his foot on that campus, they go absolutely ape crap bananas. It's insane. But we are like shaping these lives, and sometimes it's not always just fun and games or classes or conversations. Sometimes things get really heavy, and unfortunately, one of my fellow directors had an incident with one of his kids, and it's our job to make sure like they're getting the best experience, but also that they're being safe and they're being well taken care of. And, I had a couple of first years myself that were having a hard time, and I had to do what I had to do to make sure that they are safe and they are well taken care of, whether it's making sure we grab a prescription that they forgot and have it sent up to the CVS there, or just running to the grocery store to grab some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches so they have something to eat because they don't like what's on the menu, or sitting down sometimes and having some real serious conversations until like 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. We've done all of those things with my club, but it also means sometimes protecting teens from each other and even from themselves. And unfortunately, we had I don't want to say an incident because nothing really occurred, but we had a potential situation happen, and we had to make sure this, you know, young teen was safe. And so, what that ultimately means is just keeping eyes until we can make sure they're home safe with their parents. And so, what this ultimately I'm getting at is me and this one individual that I was able to meet this week had a really great moment where we didn't really even talk. We didn't really go, but we were up until about 4 o'clock in the morning together. Just making sure this kid was safe, and just watching. He was basically just asleep the whole time, but um, it was just a really cool bonding piece and a really cool moment for us as directors. And I was able to see just how much he also cares, and that it's not just a job. And I don't think it's just a job for anybody who's up there on that mountain. I think anybody who's up there is up there for a reason. But ultimately, it was just a really hold on. I think I got to sneeze again. Hold on, guys. Oh my gosh, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, ultimately, it's just a really great week, and like I said, it was really cool. Like I had some some teens from other clubs and things, other states even that I hadn't seen in about a year. And it's almost like we're able to pick right back up where we left off with. It was like one individual who I met last year, and I couldn't think of his name. The whole this. I mean, I was thinking about it the whole way down there, and I've been thinking about him throughout the year, and I could never remember his name. And then it was like as soon as I saw him this year, it was like it clicked. I was like, "Oh my gosh, buddy!" And he was like, "Hey," and he felt so bad. Like it's like um, he had my work email, and I was like, "Dude, email me. Like, let me know how you're doing. Like, I want to know what like your progress is. Like, as you're going through the school year, and like, because we had a class together, and there was like this whole accountability piece, and like, are you going to set your goals, and are you going to keep to them, and dot dot dot." And he said he was going to email me. Like, I'll let you know how I'm doing, and I'll let you know what my progress is like, and blah blah blah. And I was like, dude, you better. I want to know. I want to know your story. I want to know how you're doing. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I watched it. I watched your email address, and I was like, oh my gosh, kid, you're hilarious. He's like, I'm so sorry. Da 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 da. I was like, no, that's cool, man. It's fine. But anyway, as soon as I saw him, it clicked. I remembered his name, and then I was able to like see him a couple times throughout the year or throughout the week, and I could see that he had kept up with his promises throughout the year, like he did it. Yeah, he actually had like a little bit where he spoke at the end during the closing ceremony, and everybody was cheering for him. And he's such an awkward kid, and he's really like come into himself, and really just like he was standing up there giving this speech, and you could see he was getting a little emotional, and he took a minute and he stopped. He got himself together, and I could tear up just now, just like talking about him. He's such a beautiful individual. And then I got a chance to talk to him afterwards, and I was like, dude, I loved what you said. You did such a great job. And he even said, he was like, thank you. He goes, I was really nervous. And he's like, I thought I might like cry. I was like, dude, I did cry. And he was like, I almost did. He said, I had to take a moment. I was like, I know I saw. I was like, it was really, I said, what you said was beautiful. And just really let him know that like, what he's doing is being noticed. And it's so cool. It's such a different vibe. I mean, like, I wish it was more like that everywhere, and maybe little bits and pieces here and there, but I just wish it was more like that everywhere. Especially, I'm just going to be blunt. I mean, like, it just a completely night and day. You're talking about different ends of the spectrum from where I live to like where I'm able to be, one family compared to the other family where there's like no judgment. You're just able to be who you are. It doesn't matter like awkwardness and all of these things, um because it would just be like it's just so random. It's like it would be if it was people up there making fun of and making other people uncomfortable, it would just be like awkward people making other awkward people uncomfortable, and it's just like it doesn't make any sense, like and I just don't understand like why the world has to be like we're all different, we're all awkward in our own little way. But I mean, it's almost like as soon as I come home, like I just feel like unwelcome, like just completely like me watching TV and just being here is a problem, and it's completely ass backwards. Like it should not have to be that way, it's just it's ridiculous. I'm sorry to have to go on like that little bit of a tangent, but it's just something I noticed as soon as I walk in the door. Um, it's just like head shaking and huffing and puffing and all this bullshit, and it's not right. It's just not. And not from like my mom. My mom, of course, is like super happy to see me and excited to see me. And those who are not named shall remain nameless. But it just shouldn't be like that. There shouldn't be any um, any actions towards me to make me feel like me sitting here like doing this is something to be like this is what I have to do in order to um, you know watch TV is like maybe come in here and put on like a little headset and like just you know sit right up here on my screen and and watch TV by my little. So anyway, but it's just it's a complete night and day, and I wish more of the world could be like life is up on the mountain. It's always the same. The first few days, kind of tough. You get a little homesick. I miss my mom. Like I said, it's funny. She gets on my nerves so much, but ultimately, not having her around, it's kind of quiet. Without her around. Um, but typically by like Wednesday, Thursday, you kind of hit a certain groove, and you just really want to stay there. You want to hang out on the mountain for a while and just, I don't know, I could do this. I think I could do this for a while. Like this is nice. And then it's like, all right, well, it's time to pack up and go. And you're like, no, I was just getting into it. I was just finding my groove, and now, oh man. And then you got to go, and it's like, how do you say goodbye? Oh wow, that's crazy. That's my timer telling me it's time to say goodbye. That's so weird. Interesting. Um, but yeah, it's a whole different vibe, just being able to like hug and high five everybody, open up, talk about things, share experiences. There's just nothing like it, and I don't know. I think everybody could use a week up on up on the mountain. But anyway, I might do like a deep dive into what it's like there and talk more about that. But for now, I just kind of wanted to catch up with you guys, let you know I'm thinking about you, let you know I'm back, baby. We're back, better than ever. I don't know about that, but we're back. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys have been doing well. Let me know what you're up to this weekend. Let me know what your plans are. Let me know what your summer plans are. We're out of school. Time for some summer vacations. Please be safe out there. Have a good time. But like I said, make sure you like this video. Make sure you share it. That way, your cousins got something to watch on their phones where they're heading down to the beaches and whatnot. They can click on some Rob's Arcade and watch the latest clip. And make sure you comment down below. Share, like, subscribe, comment. I think that's it. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And until next time, don't spend that quarter anywhere else. Later.